if Chinese companies are going to develop this ChatGPT, I would imagine like the interface will be more diverse or complex than the original OpenAI, and then they could add more functions into their product to address to the wide use cases and diverse preferences of their customers. The CEO of Baidu was asked about this question, and he said the gap between Baidu and GPT is just 1 month, but he added another comment to this 1 month. He said the gap is 1 month, but it's hard to estimate how much time would it take to catch up with this 1 month gap. So if you are writing newsletter, you want to edit it, then you will call GPT. Now you are an editor. If you are a designer, then you will call GPT. Now you are a designer. So you give ChatGPT a persona, so it will perform its job better. There is an idiom in Chinese that like 水涨船高, right? As the sea level rises, the boat also rises. So I imagine human beings are the boat and GPT is like the sea level or the water level. Once the GPT increases, ourselves are also improving. So that's the opportunity.
Welcome to the Ginger River Radio podcast, a part of the GRR media outlet, and your go-to podcast for anything about the Chinese current events. I'm your host, Jiang, the founder of Ginger River Review, a newsletter that focuses on reporting the priorities of both the leadership and the general public in China, and views you do not normally see from mainstream English language media. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, go to www.gingerriver.com and sign up to join our community of avid China watchers. Now, let's dive into our podcast show today. On today's episode, we will be delving into the fascinating world of natural language processing and artificial intelligence. In particular, we will be discussing the development of ChatGPT, which has taken the world by storm, and China's opportunities and challenges in creating similar software. Joining me to talk about this today is Yihan Zhou, an AI scientist and linguist who is currently working at the Korean company Mind AI in Shenzhen, China's high-tech hub. I had the pleasure of meeting Yihan over 10 years ago in Shenzhen. Yihan studied geographic information science at Nanjing University before going to study psycholinguistics and computational linguistics at the University of Illinois. In 2019, he ranked first among 54 candidates in the Young Scholar Award competition organized by the International Association of Chinese Linguistics. As an AI scientist, Yihan and his colleagues are using new approaches and data structures to complement generative AI, such as GPT. Hi, Yihan. Welcome to Ginger River Radio.
Hi, Jiang. It was a great pleasure to join Ginger River Radio. And also, I have been following your Ginger River Review as well. It sounds like a tongue twister, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It has been 10 years, and I remember when we met like 10 years ago. I think in Shenzhen, and at that time the technology that went viral was the voice message, and then start with the talk box, and then somehow the Tencent, they developed their own product, and now which is known as WeChat, it's just popular among Chinese population. And then 10 years later, we had this ChatGPT. They all share this name, Chat, somehow interestingly. But I would say like the GPT after the word chat, it's the thing that makes a huge difference, and then and then also will be the focus of our topic today.
Yeah, it's incredible how quickly technology continues to evolve. Bill Gates has likened the development of AI-powered ChatGPT to the advent of the personal computer and said that the new technology will be like having a white-collar worker as a personal assistant. So we are going to talk about today. And first of all, could you tell us what is GPT and what is GPT's relation with AI, artificial intelligence?
Oh, yeah, sure. And I think that's a very important question because I think everyone now in the world must have heard of GPT. But yeah, so maybe in the beginning we should give a little more background information about this GPT. Yeah, so GPT is short for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So it's a deep learning or statistical model, language model developed by the company OpenAI and then went viral. So I would like to explain the concept of GPT like letter by letter, because every single letter means a lot. So G stands for generative. So this indicates now with GPT, it's a type of generative AI. It's different from the conventional like predictive AI. So for example, before we can build an AI model to help us predict like the price of houses or a price of a stock market. So these AI will tell us there is some indication for a future phenomenon. So that's all it tells us. And then based on this prediction made by AI, we human beings continue to work on further processing, like write a report or write a newsletter. But now the generative AI is actually doing everything. It not only predicts something, it also can write something. Like if you ask GPT, like what's the like price of here, and can you write a report, it will do that work for us. So generative, it's very, very different from a just purely predictive AI. So it can do a lot of work that was done by human beings. So that's for the G. And then for the P, it's pre-trained. So before in AI and in natural language processing, usually we have, every time we have a task, we train a specific model. So for example, if we want to do a task of detecting whether an email is a spam or not, so we collect the data about spam email and non-spam email and train this model. And then this model will be only used and effectively in the application of spam detection. It wouldn't work for like a spelling correction, or wouldn't work like writing a newsletter. But this pre-trained model, it's like a panacule. We collect a lot of data in different industry and domains, and we compile them together and train a single model. And this single model seems to like it can do everything. It will correct your grammatical mistake. It can detect whether this email is spam or non-spam. So that's also a huge advancement compared with the conventional models and approaches in AI. And finally, it's T. This thing, it's not a new thing. It's called transformer. It's actually a architecture of a deep learning model that was proposed by Google, I think in 2017. So this has become a very classical architecture for building deep learning models. But now in the GPT, somehow the OpenAI, they combine this transformer with other types of approaches. And then so they make this GPT really, really powerful in that the GPT will return some answers that will be favored by human beings, not just based on some random calculation and then return a result that human beings tend not to like it or agree with it. So I think G plus P and plus T are the reasons that this GPT becomes so powerful and also so phenomenal and widespread nowadays. I think also it indicates a huge, actually I would say a landmark in the AI engineering and AI product.
And we know the company who created ChatGPT is called OpenAI. So can we say that GPT is a unique technology that owned or created by OpenAI, or it is more like a general model that every company can use or develop?
Yeah, I think it's a interesting question depending on how you look at this. But yeah, I would agree that you can say that GPT is a unique product that it's developed or owned by OpenAI. But at the same time, there are several competitors like by Google and Baidu and other open source. There is one I think called Alpaca by Stanford. This one is open source, so there are other GPT-like products that are also coming into the AI community. But I would say the GPT it's the first powerful and successful product that it's developed by OpenAI.
I think it's a wonderful GPT 101, lesson you have just gave to me, and it's great to know that actually it is evolving. And we know that actually after OpenAI launched ChatGPT, it also launched GPT-4. I think weeks or months after that. And what are the key elements for developing ChatGPT and GPT-4? What are the barriers? Currently the US companies are the first to release these models software. We're going to talk about China later, but what advantages do the US companies have in developing these technologies or these models?
Yeah, I think the GPT-4 or the ChatGPT product, yeah, it's a just very unique and amazing product. And I think there are three, maybe I would say at least three key elements of this product. The first one, I would say it's the computing power that OpenAI has, because the GPT model, maybe GPT 3.5 or GPT 4 model has, I think it's 170 billion parameters in the model. So in order to perform this complex mathematical calculation, you need a lot of computing power and of course the chips. So I think OpenAI has the support from Microsoft. They provide them the computing power and then the cloud server. So they do have a lot of advantage in carrying out different experiments and calculations with the model. That's the first thing. And also, I think another key element is the model engineering and architecture. Because as I said, the AI company used to train a single model for a single task. So the model, it's very, very small and easy to control. But now, because it's a pre-trained model, it aims for, I will train this one model, but it will solve every task that I want it to solve. So now the problem becomes, how can I make the single model so comprehensive that it can cover all different kinds of tasks? How do I select like the parameters from the data I have and train it into a well-rounded model? Also, because as I said, we to train this model, we need a lot of computing power. So we will have a lot of devices that working in parallel to train this model. So any company that wants to develop this product also needs to have a very good management of these resources and devices. So let's say I have 100 devices working at the same time. What if one just break down? Will that do a very huge damage to the model? Or how do I control so that I can make this 100 devices work efficiently at the same time? So there are a lot of trial and error. There are a lot of lessons to learn from this experiment. So that's why OpenAI has gained, I think they must have gained a lot of experience in making errors and making mistakes, and so that their final product, it's an amazing one. And then the last one I would like to say, actually, I think this is the most important one, because for computing power, you can try to buy more chips, although it's expensive. And the model engineering, you can just keep trying if you have money, and then you make mistakes, and you learn from the mistake and you will improve. But I think the last element I said, it's something that cannot be improved just by spending money. That is the data, especially the quality of the data. So from the paper of OpenAI, we know that OpenAI's data were trained in many different domains and many different languages, but the majority of the data source is in English. It has a little in Chinese, I think 5%. Majority is in English. So, English is also like an international language. So if we look at Wikipedia, the English has the most articles than any other languages. And also, if you just look into a specific topic on Wikipedia, from my experience, you often find the most comprehensive or the most well-written one in English than other languages. So I think the English community or the American companies, they do have this advantage in harvesting this good data, high quality data in English. And also OpenAI has specifically trained a data team that they use very sophisticated and rigorous approach to make sure their data are of very, very high quality. So that also, I think it's a key secret of their success compared to other companies.
What do you think of the recent product launches like new Bing, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and Google's Bard in the wake of the ChatGPT's introduction? Will these areas' quick technological integration and application iteration become standard practice in the future? What heights will be attained in the following year or two?
Yeah, I think it's just really amazing. Like just in the past few weeks, there's so many new products coming out. So I would like to quote Microsoft's own word. So they are reinventing productivity with AI, end quote. So I think the new Bing and the Microsoft Copilot, their mission is to not just improve our productivity by AI, but they want to reinvent productivity. Like we now need to rethink what are we going to do with this AI tool. So they're trying to redefine what productivity means and what production means. So I think this is a very, very important advancement and benefit brought by GPT. And I think in the future, the GPT technology will be iterated and integrated with other tools in a very, very fast way. It's just faster than you can imagine. So, for example, just in the past few weeks, we have already seen that ChatGPT integrated with Office Suite, and then ChatGPT now integrated with GitHub. You can use it to write code. And then Adobe, they launched a GPT-like product to help you generate images. And I think just a few days ago, OpenAI now doing it a little backward. They allowed plugins to be added to ChatGPT. You can write some add-ons and then integrate that add-on to GPT. For example, GPT was being criticized or made fun of by its mathematical ability. It couldn't do mathematics very well, but now they have an add-on from Wolfram, which is a program for mathematical calculation. Now with that plug-in, the GPT is really, really good at mathematics now. So I think for the future, I cannot make prediction like in the unit of year because the iteration is just so fast. But I would say the direction is to make GPT integrated with everything, to make GPT applied to every industry, and then to make GPT become part of our new production or part of our new productivity concept. So in the future, our productivity will be defined by the way of how we use ChatGPT in our work. Yep.
I have a follow-up question for this. So,
Sure.
so how big is the gap of technology between the top tier, the giant companies, developers, and the smaller companies that may be specialized in artificial intelligence or the GPT-like products?
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting question and important question, because I personally found it interesting because OpenAI launched their GPT, and other companies, they see this opportunity, and then they also think, okay, if they can do it, I also can do it. But I think some other company, they are underestimating the difficulty of making a really powerful GPT product, because the OpenAI just created a survival bias, because OpenAI was so successful that other company, they think they can also be successful, but I don't think that is the case. Based on my own understanding, and also I read some articles in the AI industry. So if I would say currently, if OpenAI has like GPT has reached the level of GPT-4, then Google may reach the level of GPT 3.5, and then Baidu may reach the level of GPT 3. So there are huge gaps between OpenAI and other competitors right now, but maybe in the future the gap would be narrowed very quickly. But also the other day, the CEO of Baidu was asked about this question, and he said the gap between Baidu and GPT, it's just 1 month. But he added another comment to this 1 month. He said the gap is 1 month, but it's hard to estimate how much time would it take to catch up with this 1 month gap. So that indicates, like, even though he said it's a 1 month gap, but it may means more than 1 month work to close this gap.
Get it. So it takes time. And since you mentioned about Baidu, so let's talk about China.
Yeah, sure.
I also watched the Robin Li, the CEO of Baidu, his presentation about their newly unveiled Ernie bot, or known as 文心一言 in Chinese, which is similar to ChatGPT. And Robin Li said that it was the result of decades of Baidu's hard work and efforts, and its features will be integrated into Baidu's Xiaodu smart device ecosystem. And I think he mentioned that it's not a perfect product, but because of the demands of Baidu's clients, of the markets, they have released that. Actually, they have a updated version every year. So and also the Huawei's CEO Ren Zhenfei said that the future of AI large-scale models will be booming, and Huawei will focus on creating AI underlying computing platforms. So you talk about it a little bit just now. So how do you view the GPT-like products launched and will be launched by Chinese companies? And what development opportunities do you think ChatGPT has brought to Chinese enterprises? You have just talked about that. Actually, it's more than a month's gap between Baidu and some other Chinese companies with the American US companies. So what advantages and challenges of developing ChatGPT in China will these companies face?
Yeah. Speaking of Baidu, I also watched the whole launch conference by Baidu. To be honest, in the beginning, I was a little bit disappointed because they actually don't show.
I think not just you. The stock market is also a little bit disappointed.
Exactly. So yeah, as you said, the stock market dropped 10%, and that reminds me of what happened to Google, right? When Google first like present their ChatGPT-like product, the stock price also dropped like 9% or 10%. So that also goes back to my previous comment. Yeah, people think, okay, GPT, because OpenAI is so successful, other people think we can also do it, but that's not the case. It's actually extremely difficult to make a very well-functioned product like OpenAI. So, but another on the next day, and also my opinion about Baidu's product also changed a little bit. I think, yeah, in the beginning I was a little bit disappointed, but now I see it may brings more opportunities to Baidu itself and also to the Chinese market. Because you know what happened. You mentioned that the stock price dropped, yes, but do you know what happened in the next day? Actually, on the next day, yeah, the stock price came back, and then it's even higher than before. So I think it also reflected how the market, how the investors see this future of Baidu or other Chinese company who want to develop the GPT-like product. They do see that maybe in the short term, it's really a bad idea and bad product, but maybe in the long term, it means more opportunities and more competitiveness added to the company. And also Huawei, I think, maybe I know that Huawei has been developing their own cloud server. So I think it kind of makes sense to me that they're not trying to build another GPT product, because I think
because you just mentioned that cloud server, like that is actually a key element, right?
Yes,
as a barrier or as a
exactly. So Huawei, because unlike Baidu, I don't think Huawei has much accumulation in like natural language processing and the related data. But they do have some accumulation in the computing and the cloud server. So I think, it kind of makes sense to me that they are focusing on the computing platform instead of the GPT model or GPT product itself. And also, not only just Baidu and Huawei, I think the whole Chinese market and the companies, they get excited when they see how powerful ChatGPT is. So I think, based on my experience, I see that there are three types of actions of Chinese companies to this ChatGPT product. The first one is, okay, I will make my own thing. That's the first type. So that's represented by Baidu. And also, Li Kai-Fu Li, who on the Sinovation, he recently proposed that he will do I think AI project 2.0. So he also want to engage in this enterprise of developing GPT-like product. So that's the first category. The second category includes some companies that are not trying to build a GPT-like product, but they want to have the GPT product integrated to their service. So they would say, okay, we cannot afford the cost of ChatGPT, but we want to embrace this ChatGPT model and use it in our business. And then the third one, the third reaction to the ChatGPT is they want to use ChatGPT as a foundation, and then on top of that, they want to make something new and add some more features to this GPT. I know there's a startup company did a very interesting thing. When you use ChatGPT, you need to type in the prompt, and then the quality of your prompt actually can affect the quality of the response of GPT. So I think this startup company, they somehow use either machine learning or other approach. When you type a prompt, they help you to polish your prompt. They give more details to your original prompt, and then you can use this edited or a polished prompt and then give it to ChatGPT to get a better answer. So I think, generally based on my observation, there are three types of reactions of Chinese companies to GPT. And for those companies who also want to develop GPT, I think they have some advantages, but also maybe more challenges. So the advantages, we know that for Chinese companies, they have of course they know Chinese language and Chinese culture better. That are also presented at Robin Lee's presentation, so they can do Chinese dialects, and then they can know some like Chinese memes, Chinese idioms better. So I think in the area of Chinese language, the Chinese company may have some advantages over other model that it's trained using majority English data. Also, another advantage is the wide use cases and wide business scenarios, because in the Chinese market it has 1.4 billion people, and then they all have different needs, demands, and preferences. So actually, any kind of AI application, when they come into the Chinese market, they become very, very diverse and complex at the same time. So if Chinese companies are going to develop this ChatGPT, I would imagine like the interface will be more diverse or complex than the original OpenAI, and then they could add more functions into their product to address to the wide use cases and diverse preferences of their customers. But at the same time, there are big challenges. The first one, as I said, is the quality of data. We know that like English data has very high quality, but for the Chinese data, now they are having some issues with accessing good quality data, because the good quality data in Chinese are usually closed. They are like good, well-written articles in a specific community, but this community may not want to share the data for you to train a model. So that could be a potential problem. And also, another thing I want to say is patience. So we know that OpenAI is very successful, but OpenAI, I think it started in 2015. So it has been working on this GPT consistently for many years in order to produce this high quality product. But for Chinese company, I feel like they are making efforts to trying to catch up, but because this idea is pretty new, they don't have too much time left to catch up, to bring out a comparable performance. So I think they're kind of urgent. They feel kind of urgent to develop a good product, but so in this case, they may kind of lose their patience. I think that can be a little challenging if they want to bring out a good product in the long run.
I see. And do you have any like specific, any specific areas or industries that could, better, applied with the GPT models that can make the specific industry like updated into another level in China?
Yes, of course. As I said, the GPT, right? The G means generative, so it can help you create new content and new stuff. And then the first application, I would say it's like the video sharing, like the TikTok. It's so popular around the world. And then, maybe
which maybe may face some serious situations as we have just watched the congressional hearings. That's another topic. We're not going to touch that too much today.
Yes, that's another topic. But let's say in general, let's say I know TikTok is facing a headache. Okay, maybe
Douyin, actually you were talking about Douyin, right? The Chinese version of TikTok in China, right?
Exactly. Yes, I should be more specific. I'm talking about the domestic product.
That's two different companies.
Right. That's true. So let me correct it. So I would say for the Chinese market, the Douyin and maybe Bilibili would like to see the integration of ChatGPT, because ChatGPT can help them maybe generate script and generate background music and generate background video, so that can make their video sharing more attractive and more like a multi-model, and so that would look so that can bring the audience a more like immersive feeling. Yeah. So another thing, as I mentioned before, it's the e-commerce, because e-commerce industry will need a lot of like human agent to deal with the complaints and the questions and then the order from the customer. But if they have something like a GPT-like product, so I think they can reduce their cost, and then they can have their human agent focus on like serious problems only, but letting the AI and the machine do the like lower level task. And the third one I can think of is the electric vehicle. In China is now, the electric vehicle industry in China is like developing very fast, and then it's exporting the products to to Europe and then to other parts of the world. So the future of electric vehicle, if one prospect of electric vehicle is that if we achieve automatic driving, so while we are sitting in the car, we can like enjoy other videos and music. And so if at that time we can have GPT built into the electric vehicles, then while we are sitting in the cars, we can also do like we can write a letter to our boss, we can listen to music, we can let the GPT to tell us a joke. So that would like greatly would turn the driving experience into like a cinema experience, I would say. So I think these industry would like to see the integration of GPT into their current product.
Wonderful. And because you mentioned about the e-commerce, the robot server or the robot who is going to answer our questions. Actually,
Right.
My personal experience is that whenever I make a phone call to like maybe the airline service or some other things, the questions or the demand that I have every time was that please connect me with a real person. I want to talk a real person, because the answers that are generated by the robot was just so simple, and sometimes I have very specific and complicated questions or issues that is actually I waste lots of time talking to a robot. So do you believe that in the near future, that actually a GPT-like a service that can really satisfy that such like customers' complicated demand in terms of solving issues?
Yeah, I think I have confidence in that for the long run, because I'm already seeing some of the good results. So yeah, as you said, I share with all the experience you had. Like when you talk to a robot, it just feels so frustrated. But now when you talk to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has added an instruction learning into its model creation. So ChatGPT somehow has the ability that to say something that will make the human beings happy, because it was trained to do that. So if you are like not happy, and then you say, okay, I have a really bad mood, when you talk to ChatGPT, it will like first recognize your sentiment and emotion, and then it will propose some solutions to that. So I think
so they can sympathize with you.
Yes, exactly. No matter like whether it really has the ability to the ability of sympathy, but at least it's acting like it is sympathizing with you. Yes, and then I think that's a very important first step for a friendly and then a clever conversational AI bot.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, a robot can help us solve some real issues in the near future. And during the just concluded China's annual two-session meetings, which actually my newsletter Ginger River Review has a couple of articles reporting that during the two sessions, the Chinese Minister of Science and Technology, Wang Zhigang, said that China has done a lot of planning and research in areas related to artificial intelligence chatbots. But there may still be a lot of work to be done to achieve similar effect of OpenAI, the developer of the ChatGPT. He said that it is hoped that domestic and foreign enterprises can achieve more good results in the field of AI. At the same time, we must also pay attention to standardizing the ethics of science and technology, seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages. Mm-hmm. How do you view the policies and measures taken by the Chinese policymakers, such as the establishment of a Central Commission of Science and for Science and Technology and the National Data Bureau, and the impact they may have on the development of ChatGPT-like products in China?
So yeah, as we discussed, ChatGPT, and it's really a disruptive technology. So here I see the ambivalent position of the Chinese government. On the one hand, it really hopes that there's some domestic technological development in GPT-like product, but at the same time, it's very concerned about the ethics and privacy and data security issues. I think that applies for other institutions too. We know that government institutions tend to be very conservative to the new things and new phenomena. For example, there are other universities. Some university will ban students from using ChatGPT, while other university will encourage every student to use this GPT. So that's a very common phenomenon. The institutions and government institutions have an ambivalent position in that. So for China's policy making per se, I'm not very familiar about the exact policy they make, but I'm thinking that their policy can also have a positive and negative impact on the development of ChatGPT-like products in China. So for one thing, if they really enforce the ethics and privacy and data security thing, so that may be a good news for the product users in China, because we also heard the CEO of OpenAI. He also openly expressed the concern about the potential harm that the GPT can do. And we also know that slogan of Google, it's do no harm, right? With a very advanced technology, it's very, very hard to prevent any negative consequences that it may bring. So in that sense, if the Chinese government enforce the policy on protecting the privacy and security, then I think that's good for the users in China. But at the same time, as I also mentioned, now that the Chinese company, they are not playing the upper hand in the GPT-like products, they are trying to catch up with the main competitor, which is OpenAI. So there is still a wide gap in their technology, in their models. So they're still at their early stage in development. So I think at this early stage, it's not good practice to enforce too much regulation on that, because that will limit their growth. What I would like to see it at early stage, at least, more encouragement and more support for those companies who want to develop GPT-like product. And then once the technology matures, then we can enforce rigorous regulations on that. So I think it's really an art for the government to do the policy making.
And I also want to talk a little bit about your company. And can you tell us more about the businesses of your company? What are you doing, and what was the differences or similarities between the products of your company made comparing to ChatGPT?
So currently, Mind AI offers three business solutions. So the first one is conversational AI, and then the second one we call human logic intelligence, which is transparent, intelligent process automation. And then the third one is literate intelligence, which is a transparent machine reading comprehension that you can ask the AI about the content in the text. And all these are made on built on mind expression, which is infrastructure as a service that support our human-like decision process based on the logic that is offered by our company. And as for the Chinese market, currently, we have solutions in English, Korean, and Thai. And this year, we're developing solutions in Tagalog, Hindi, and Arabic. So next year, we plan to develop solutions in Chinese and enter the Chinese market. For me personally, I am an AI scientist. I work in the science team, and most of the work of our team is on research and development. Especially, I want to mention our technology. Our technology is based on a patented data structure called canonical, and this canonical can encode knowledge and the logical relations involved. So therefore, transparency and logical reasoning is innately possible with our canonical model, in which we can use them to do logical reasoning and then to show the process of logical reasoning. So also we are trying to complement, because as I mentioned before, there are limitations of this large language model and GPT-like product. So they're not really achieving human-like reasoning, at least for now. So our team finds a complementary approach to ChatGPT and GPT-like product. So we would use generative AI and there's large language models to help us generate data and knowledge. And also, on the other hand, we are using our original canonical structure to kind of mitigate the limitations and hallucinations of large language model, so that we can check whether the result given by GPT is correct and whether it is logic. Therefore, we can provide transparency and as well as enhance the quality of the result by generative AI. And then there are some similarity and differences between our product and ChatGPT. So first, similarities. We both work on conversational AI based on textual data primarily. So our technology, as well as ChatGPT's technology, need to understand users' intent and then to provide appropriate responses. But however, we are also different in some ways. So first, we know that deep learning and large language models are well-known black boxes. So in this regard, we are taking a different route because we pursue transparency in our model. We don't use mathematical conversion of the input data and then do the linear algebra calculation. But instead, we encode all the data into the canonical model. And then that will solve the problems of transparency and explainability, because with the canonical data structure, we will be able to show the process of reasoning. So you can actually pinpoint to the process, well, why does the machine make such a decision? And then if you see there is an error, you can go ahead and fix it. That's a little bit different from the large language model. But I also want to emphasize the comprehensiveness and vastness of the AI world here. I think the AI world is big enough to allow people to pursue different approaches and possibilities. So in this sense, we are not that similar, but we are not that different either from ChatGPT. Our company, we have the belief that the pursuit of a complementary approach will also make a great contribution to the AI community.
I see. And let's talk a little bit about Shenzhen, because, it's a place that we met like over 10 years ago, and now you are back to Shenzhen, and you are now working in Shenzhen actually. And how do you feel about the atmosphere of Shenzhen, especially the technology community there, and not just Shenzhen, the Great Bay Area of Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau? How do you feel like working and living there?
Yeah. As you said in the introduction part, Shenzhen, someone called that it's like a Silicon Valley of China. I think that's a very high praise of Shenzhen. But I also do, because I also lived in the US before, I also do see there's a huge gap between Shenzhen and the Bay Area in the US. But however, I do see that there's a fast development, especially in high tech in Shenzhen. I used to live in Nanshan district. So Nanshan district has a high concentration of high tech companies. By the way, the headquarters of
Tencent in
Tencent. Yes, yes, exactly. The headquarters of Tencent it's located in Nanshan. And then also the GPT of Nanshan district, just a single district, in 2022, it's more than 100 billion USD. So it's really strong in innovation and then high tech industry. So I feel like although there's this huge gap compared to the US, but I think it does have a lot of potential, and then it's gradually catching up. And for me, in terms of working experience, before I joined Mind AI, I had interview from two tech companies in Shenzhen. So the first one is a very big one. It's called International Digital Economy Academy. I think it's short for IDEA. The Chinese is very long. 粤港澳大湾区数字经济研究院. Yeah, it sounds like a academic institution, but it's actually like it functions like a company. And I think this IDEA institution, they also work on pre-trained models in Chinese. I haven't tried their product yet, but I think they released a few open sourced pre-trained model in Chinese before. And another company I had interviewed, it's a fintech technology. They actually based in Hong Kong, but they have branches in Shenzhen. So this company actually shows you the gradual integration and then the flow of technology and funding and talents between Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Of course, the whole so-called Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macao Bay Area has a lot of companies like this. So they have branches in different areas, and then they're trying to get talents and funding, investment flow, work in a flow. So that's how I feel about this region. I'm a local, so I feel like I'm lucky to grow up here, and I see there's a lot of potentials. So I hope, speaking about GPT, I hope there will be some companies that in Shenzhen they can work out, they can release some GPT-like model that will amaze the world.
Yeah, Shenzhen is also one of my favorite cities in China. I think it's very open and energetic city, partially because it was one of the pioneer cities for China's reform and opening up. Mm-hmm. And now it is aiming to become a global innovation center. And mm-hmm. So do you believe there are any like disparities in knowledge structure and style between the domestic AI workforce, such as in Shenzhen, and the international AI workforce? What are the current differences in the development of AI or GPT between South Korea and China?
Yeah, about the AI practitioner I do see there's a huge difference because I used to stay in the U.S. and then now I came back to China. I think they are very different in their expertise and knowledge. So, for example, use my own personal experience. You know that I used to study geography, information science, and then I switched to linguistics, and now I work in AI. I think that it's really, really very common in the U.S., a very common trajectory for student in U.S. And then also the U.S. society actually welcomes people from different background to join in AI. So for one example, there was a paper called, I think, instruction learning. About this title, published by OpenAI. And then the first author is a research scientist at OpenAI, but he doesn't have a background in computer science. He doesn't have a background in AI. His major is psychology. He is a PhD in psychology, but he is the first author of this instruction learning that contribute a lot to OpenAI. So I think
that's impressive.
Yes, but in China, I think in a job description, in the hiring process, they would expect you to major in computer science, mathematics, and then they expect you to be able to program very well. So yeah, I think for the Chinese companies, they are less favorable to candidates without background in computer science or AI. So if you say you major in psychology and you major in linguistics, it's kind of hard to get into the AI industry in China. That's about the expertise and knowledge. There are also differences in the styles. I think of course, that's also because of their business strategy and then their investment, their funding. But the differences in style is, I think, the U.S. company, they would encourage you to do something that's really new, although it can be risky. So they will encourage you to take risk and make something that's out of nowhere. But for the Chinese company, I think they're more pragmatic. So they already have a very safe route. So they want you to continue to take this safe route, but based on safe route, you can produce something better than before or more create something more productive than before. So they want to see the applications, the use cases, and then the results very soon. They don't have the patience, and also they don't have a very solid investment to allow them to wait for a few years and then to focus on one thing that can be innovative, but also can be useless and risky. So yeah, that's the two differences I see. And Korea, I think Korea, it's some. I only have a limited working experience in Korea, but my personal feeling is like Korea, it's somewhere in between China and Korea and US. I think in Korea they also like people from different background. I know that there's someone who study like literature or linguistics, yet they can also become an NLP researcher. So I think in this way, in this sense, Korea is more similar to the US. They like to see people from different backgrounds and then to work out something that's new. Also speaking about Korean, there are also two Korean companies. They're trying to boot their own GPT, but they face difficulties too. Kakao, it's a Korean instant messenger. It's like a Korean equivalent of WeChat. They released their own GPT-like AI service some time ago. and then they paused the service just one day after release. I think there must be some difficulty that they encounter. So as I said, the success of OpenAI, it's really a survival bias. Maybe they fail a lot, but you wouldn't know that. You only see their highlights and their success. But for other competitors, for other runners up, if they want to catch up ChatGPT, they're going to make the mistakes again and learn from the mistake and then grow. So that's why I see that a lot of companies that want to replicate GPT, they will face a lot of difficulty in the beginning before we see a really powerful product that they can offer.
Yeah, and to what extent do you see the potential of AI language models, generally speaking? So would it be truly able to comprehend human language, like including metaphor, metonymy, or irony?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. That's also something our company is working on. So I think the answer for the question, at least now, I think it's no. I'm not seeing they have a real logical reasoning and then metaphorical interpretation as human beings do. By the way, this part is also what our company wants to emphasize and implement ChatGPT. So we can play a little game to help me illustrate my point. But I want to make a disclaimer. So the result of the game I propose, it's not meant to downplay ChatGPT. For me, ChatGPT is the most powerful and successful AI product I have ever seen. But I want to use this little game to just illustrate there can be some limitations of GPT model. And then I will also explain why the GPT model have these limitations. And this also justify OpenAI's decision to allow developers to make their own plugins that can complement the limitations of GPT. So I think, Jiang, you must have played with GPT before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you must have given it a lot of different prompts and ask it to do the job for you, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do a prompt now?
Yeah. I mean, I would invite you and the audience, if they're interested, to try this a prompt. So to make sure it works, I actually verify it. It's still what I expected before our discussion. So if you just give the prompt like reverse the word cat. So the intention of this prompt is to return the letters in the word cat in the opposite order. So if you ask GPT to reverse the word cat, it's supposed to output TAC, which is the reverse of CAT, right?
Yeah, the reverse of the word cat, CAT, is TAC. Yes, the chat, I'll post this on the newsletter. So yeah, just write a prompt saying
yes,
that's cat. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah. There is no surprise here. Yes, ChatGPT can do that, and ChatGPT actually understand your prompt. Reverse meaning to put the word in the opposite order, and also it's doing it correctly, CAT, and then outputs TAC. But what if you try a different word? Let's say reverse the word imminent. It's IMMINENT. The word imminent means like upcoming, that is coming soon. Imminent.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's try.
Yeah. So yeah, the audience can also try. The word is IMMINENT.
Okay.
What are you seeing
The
there?
reverse of the word imminent is TNEMNIMI. Seems
Right?
that it is not the right answer.
Right. Yeah. You may want to double check because yeah, sometimes GPT gives out answer that looks like really looks like the correct answer, but it's actually not. I heard you said in the reverse result there is a MN together, right? MN combo, but I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, there's an
Yeah,
combo. Yeah,
I don't think in the original word imminent there it M is
yeah,
it's
there's
followed by N
no, yeah.
anyway, right? So yeah. So again, so again, I can say that yeah, in this specific case, ChatGPT is not producing the correct answer, but I'm not using
Why?
this to
Why you think
yeah.
the ChatGPT can give a right answer for? Is it because the word is like shorter or longer? Then the answer is different.
Yeah, there can be several reasons. I don't know how exactly ChatGPT was trained, but I'm guessing the first reason it's not doing it correct. It is not thinking as the human beings does. So, for example, this eminent example, I also work as a language teacher before. So this eminent, I am confident that for anyone who can recognize the 26 letters in English alphabet, I can have that person complete this task 100% correct. So, but ChatGPT, it's trained on billions of parameters, but it's still confusing about the result. The reason is it is not thinking as the human beings do in the way of symbolic manipulation. So let's think about how human beings solve this prompt. So we work at a symbolic. We can do symbolic manipulation. When we see the word imminent, we actually manipulate letter by letter. So every letter in imminent, it's a symbol to us. And then now, when we see the word imminent, we have a collection of symbols that is English letters that are English letters. And then the task asks us to reverse the symbols. So we just basically have this group of letters, and then we switch the order. We put the last one now as the first one, and then continuing doing for other symbols one by one. So we work out the correct answer. So the key is first we interpret the word as a collection of individual symbols. That's the first one. It's a symbol recognition. And then we can manipulate the order of the symbols. That's a symbol manipulation. Because we have this two ability. We first recognize it and then we manipulate it. And then we'll get the right result. But for GPT, it is not seeing the word imminent as a collection of letters, but it's seeing the word imminent as a collection of word vectors. It's like a collection of numbers. And then I don't know how exactly GPT does it, but GPT must have cut the word imminent in different ways. So for example, it may cut imminent as like I am as one group, MIN as second group, and EN as third group, and NT as a fourth group. So each of this group will then be assigned a numeric representation in vectors. And then they don't work at the symbolic level of letters, they work at the numeric level of vectors. And then based on these several vectors, they perform not symbolic manipulation, but mathematical calculation. And then after some complex calculation, they get another result in numbers. And then they restore this number to the letter representation, which is the answer you are seeing from the ChatGPT. So I think, yeah, this example illustrates ChatGPT is not thinking, at least in in some areas it's not thinking the same as human beings. Therefore, it will have some limitations in some tasks that seems pretty easy to human beings, but it'll fail at some tasks that's very, very simple to human beings.
I see your point, and the funny thing is that I just try another word, immediate, and I found that it can answer correctly that the reverse of the word immediate, immediate, is like the right answer, etaidemmi. So it is similar length of word as imminent, but you can answer it in the right way. So how do we explain that? This like maybe it's just like a bit random, like or some rules that we don't know that the ChatGPT categorize, like as you mentioned, different sets of letters into different groups, and sometimes it can answer right, sometimes it can answer wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for trying that too. I mean, this also makes another point that if you ask me why is the case, my answer is I don't know, and I would doubt that developer of ChatGPT they would know the answer, because nobody knows like what happens in in a model that contains billions of parameters. Nobody can do that such complex calculation. And here, actually, your example together with my example, imminent and immediate, actually would make another point about GPT's limitation. It's we don't know when it will answer it wrong. It will give the wrong answer. It cannot be predicted. It's like you try this word, okay, it's correct. But if you try another word, then it's wrong. It's not consistent, as you said. Imminent and immediate are very similar, but it can get one correct, but one wrong. So one potential limitation is when we know that ChatGPT will make mistake. This is a very difficult question to answer. And also a follow-up question is, when ChatGPT makes mistake, can you make it correct itself? So if you can also try with the imminent example. If ChatGPT make mistake for the first time, that's fine. If you tell ChatGPT, okay, this is wrong, please redo this task again. Based on my experience, ChatGPT will repeat that mistake again and again. It will never be able to fix that because, as I explained, it's not being trained to work at a symbolic level. So that's another potential of ChatGPT. But I'm not saying that ChatGPT will never be able to solve it. I'm saying like currently with ChatGPT itself, it cannot fix this problem. But as you know, OpenAI is inviting other developers to add their plugs into the GPT product. So that combination of GPT and the plug-in may be the solution to this problem. That's why I would like to embrace and emphasize a complementary approach to AI. GPT is really powerful, but I think we also need to add other things to overcome its limitation and make it better and more comprehensive and well-rounded.
Very interesting. And thank you for this great example. And I also asked the question that I asked you about the potential of AI language models. I asked this question to ChatGPT for fun, and let's see how it responded. It's a long answer, and I will cut it short. It basically said that, however, while AI language models have made significant strides in natural language understanding, they still have limitations. For example, AI language models may not always correctly understand nuances of language, such as sarcasm or irony. Additionally, AI language models lack the ability of understand language in the same way humans do, as they rely on statistical patterns in data to make predictions. This means that AI language models may not have a true comprehension of language in the same way humans do, although they can still be highly effective at processing and generating language. It seems to me that ChatGPT knows its limitation, though it didn't mention the specific problem which we just found through the example. But it knows it has some limitations. And actually, I don't know it is good or bad, because when you just said that there are sometimes make mistakes, and sometimes we have to recognize that. And I think knowing one's limitations, on the one hand, is the prerequisite for evolving, but it also can be a little bit terrifying if the AI, the ChatGPT can be so like, if they really have like self-conscious, then they will be able to evolve in that way. But actually now it does not have that. We know that it does have to overcome some challenges, and it might take some time, as you just mentioned. And do you have any like specific suggestions to our listeners in terms of how to better utilize ChatGPT-like software to free up our time and increase our efficiency?
I think that's a very important question. I think for us, it will be inevitable in our work in the near future that we will use ChatGPT in one way or another. So I have read some tips on using ChatGPT. I also think about this. So I would say my suggestion are just like what Microsoft advocated. You need to reinvent your productivity. So my suggestion is, before you ever use ChatGPT, you need to rethink about the work that you are doing. For example, if you're writing code or writing script, I think you should abandon your convention perception of your work, but you need to give it a new meaning or new idea. So, for example, if you are a journalist, for example, you're writing articles, newsletters. So I would say the first thing to do is to create a pipeline of your work. Now you are not treating your work as individual manual work, but you are treating your work as an engineering, as a production pipeline. So what is your input and what is your stages of processing this input, and what is your expected output? And then once you have this pipeline, and then the next thing is to think about, where do you place the ChatGPT in your work pipeline? And then the third step is to give ChatGPT a role. So if you are writing newsletter, you wanted to edit it, then you will call GPT. Now you are an editor. If you are a designer, then you will call GPT. Now you are a designer. So you give ChatGPT a persona, so it will perform its job better. And also you will need to give it a very precise prompt. That will require you to really know what your job is. You don't just simply give ChatGPT like writing a 500 words letter for me, but you want to emphasize how many paragraphs, how many sections, and what is the gist of each section, and what is the conclusion, what is the evidence. So the better prompt you give to ChatGPT, the better result it will return to you. And also another tip is to give ChatGPT an example. The example would be your desired output. And once ChatGPT sees that example, it will try to make it answer close to the example that you provided, so that the end product will look like will be more similar to the one you really wanted.
That's very helpful. I feel like you were saying that I should act or think like an engineer, or even like a robot to and also allocate some role. Do you mean that actually I should write in the prompt that telling the ChatGPT that you are an editor? Should I do that? Do you do
Yes,
that?
yes, exactly. Giving a persona. And then also to be more precise with my word, I think my suggestion is to encourage everyone to think from a perspective, not just an engineer, but as a manager. So you're a manager of your whole work, and ChatGPT is one of your helper. And then now you need to make the full use of your helper together with your creativity, and then towards building your product. So you are a product owner and manager of your work. Not that means more than an author of your work. So
Yeah, I see. As a non-native English speaker, now I use ChatGPT normally to learn more authentic expressions, which make my newsletter contents easier for the readers to understand. And additionally, when some articles require a translation, sometimes I use it for initial translation, and then I further add, adjust, and optimize it manually. And I do think it already helps me. And your suggestion actually just remind me of some people saying that actually when we have ChatGPT, we now have to be able to become a good teacher, a good guider, or a word you just used, a good coach. So being able to write good, effective prompt is very important to help the ChatGPT to help us as assistant and generate, the real things that we want. That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I really like the idea, like reinventing your productivity. It's not just improving, but it's reinventing.
And one last question before we move to the recommendation section.
Sure.
What will ChatGPT, like say ChatGPT-5, ChatGPT-10 look like in the future? What impact will they have on the entire technology industry and even human society? I know this is a very big question. I mean, you can just give me your answer from your perspective. Yeah.
Of course, I actually thought about this question, but yeah, I'm just giving you my imaginative answer. For ChatGPT 5, I think I have some confidence in that based on its previous version. I think ChatGPT 5 will be a almost completely multi-model. So ChatGPT 5 will be able to process text, speech, audio, image, and video altogether. So I think by the time of ChatGPT 5 comes out, the model should be able to deal with multi-model information and then manipulate information in one model and convert it to another model. So it will be a multi-model player. So this part, I have some confidence it will be able to do it. It's already indicated in GPT-4. It can do text and image. And in the future, we'll add the audio and video in it. That's about GPT-5. GPT-10, I think, will be very far away, but not that far away either. If I use my imagination, I think GPT-10 would be a GPT that can move. So previous GPT version, they are only dealing with information processing, not about like robotic and not about like the actual kinetic or a movement. I think ChatGPT
It has no hands, no legs, right?
Yeah, that's right. It has eyes, brains, ears, mouth. It has no, yeah, as you said, no hands and legs, feet. I think GPT-10 can be I call it robotic GPT. Now it has hands and feet. It can move. It can do things freely as it was as the prompt told it, or maybe as itself free will, because Microsoft was already experimenting giving GPT some message and then to manipulate another robot. But I think in the future, the GPT and the robot will be together, will be a robotic GPT. That's my estimation. And for the influence of GPT, it's already like atomic bomb for the AI industry and then the whole world in general. So I'm still a little bit pessimistic, but about its challenge to human beings. But I'm also seeing the opportunities. So every time a version of GPT comes out, then that means it pushed the upper bound. No, it pushed the lower bound of performance. So from now on, the worst performance will be as good as GPT. So that's the opportunity it brings to us. So because you cannot do you cannot do worse than GPT, because you can always use GPT to generate the result. So it will become our baseline or our foundation, actually. As there is an idiom in Chinese said like 水涨船高, right? As the sea level rises, the boat also rises. So I mean, imagine human beings are the boat and GPT is like the sea level or the water level. Once the GPT increases, ourselves are also improving. So that's the opportunity. And then the challenge is also very concerning. There was a paper published by OpenAI. It said that 80% of the work in the US can be affected or even replaced by GPT. So human beings always have to worry about AI. They worry that AI might replace themselves afterwards. The concern has been going for forever. But this time the GPT is a little bit different. It's becoming like a real concern because it has the ability to generate ideas, generate content, just like human beings. And also, if we look back, like previous technological innovation seems to replace like manual worker. So like if we have a car, then we don't need like somebody to in old Beijing, like there is a jigsaw, like somebody to pull the jigsaw and then to take us to somewhere. So it tend to replace the manual work. But now the GPT tends to emulate and even replace knowledge workers. So like if you're writing working on creative art, working on as a programmer or as a writer, then ChatGPT can do some part of your job as well. So that would be the future challenging for us. And then we need to think how we human beings can coexist with an ever advancing technology as GPT.
Yeah, I'm sure that lots of people will feel that their jobs is threatened by the coming of ChatGPT. And I remember, I think the CEO of OpenAI, he drew a website in a paper, and it's like insert that picture into GPT-4, and then GPT-4 generate like the code for designing the specific website he draw, and it just makes you feel like, you know, I have studied how to code in my MBA degree, and now I feel like, you know, you don't have to learn that. You can just draw a picture, and then the ChatGPT will help you to design that. So
yes,
definitely,
exactly.
Lots of people's job is threatened by that.
Exactly.
Well, I feel it really will have a significant impact to the human society. All right, so now let's move on to the recommendations. We invite every guest of our podcast to recommend something to our listeners. It can be a book, a movie, a TV series, a podcast, or even a video game. So, Yihan, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, I would recommend the book that's also related to our previous question. The name of the book is called Life 3.0 column, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. So I like this book for two reasons in its main title and its subtitle. So its subtitle, it's Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. So this is related to our previous question. With the advent of GPT and ChatGPT, we human beings really need to think who we are and then what we can do, because there's something called AI that can mimic our behavior and even emulate our thinking. Then if there's something very similar to us coming out, then we really, really need to think then who we are, right? Because human beings, we always think like we're on the top, we are the supreme being in this world, because we can make tools, we can talk about abstract ideas, we can make good use of the natural resources to improve our productivity. But if there is another thing that can also do it, then are they human beings, or are we no longer human beings, or are we a new type of being? So this is something we really need to think about. And also the AI is now being so pervasive. Even like elementary school kids, they know GPT and ChatGPT in China. They kind of they are talking about it in a very interesting way. They express their concern about ChatGPT, but it looks kind of funny to adults. So yeah, we need to think about how we are being humans in the age of artificial intelligence. And also I like the main title, which is Life 3.0. So we know GPT is evolving, like GPT 1, 2, 3, 4, and so does life, right? Life, we also, when we are like mammals, monkeys, we're like life 1.0.
So does Web 3.0.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's the optimistic side. If ChatGPT is evolving, it's becoming better, then why can't we also become better, right? Maybe, yeah, there is a ChatGPT-4, but there is also human being 4. If there is ChatGPT-10, there are also human beings 10. Why don't we just evolve together with this artificial intelligence? We learn to coexist, and then, yeah, work with each other to further make this world a better place, right? We're not just like standing here forever and then while ChatGPT is fastly iterating. No, I think the way to go is like we evolve together with it. So yeah, so the author called right now it's Life 3.0. So we can also, just as your question asked, we also need to ask, what does Life 4.0 look like? What does Life 10.0 look like, right? So I think this book will not provide answers to this question, of course, but it will encourage us. It will raise questions for us to start think about these important questions, and maybe someone can have a good answer to these questions.
Yeah, I like the idea of Life 3.0, and definitely we'll check it out. And I guess we all have to learn how to live in a world supported or even being dominated by AI. And
right.
I really
Possibly.
feel like that we can continue to talk about AI or ChatGPT for another 20 or even 50 questions, and it just can influence or change lots of industries, and there are lots of opportunities and issues that the human society will have to face. I'm looking forward to maybe having another chat with you about this in the future, and maybe at that time you can send your ChatGPT version to talk with me.
Oh yeah, sure, of course. And then also, I think at that time we will see the evolution of ChatGPT and human beings, including ourselves too. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, hope at that time I still have my job, and we still have our jobs.
Yeah, I think we
otherwise
will.
we can only do this podcast for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Yihan. What a pleasure it's been talking to you.
Yeah, me too. It's really great pleasure, and yeah, all the excitement and imagination. Yeah, you encourage. Yes, thank you also very much for that.
Wonderful, thank you. The Ginger River Radio Podcast is a part of the GR Media outlet. Our show is produced and edited by me, Jiang Jiang, Yu Liaojie from Shanghai International Studies University, and Jia Yuxuan from Beijing Foreign Studies University. For cooperation, investing, or feedback, email me directly at jiangjiang, Jiangjang, @gingerriver.com, or just give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We would be delighted if you would recommend our podcast or newsletter to others if you find it helpful. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Take care.